Okay, so before we hop into your session, we're going to go over a couple things. Before we connected, I pulled you some oracle cards. We're not going to go over them in the session, but I will send you pictures and guidebook descriptions because that'll be a deeper level of messaging. And then I asked each one of your chakras what kind of crystals would help with healing and growth. And I built you a crystal grid. So I'll send you a picture of that afterwards as well. And then the replay I will have to you either this evening or tomorrow, depending on when it processes. Everything sound good?
Okay, thank you.
Awesome. Okay. So for your notes, I saw here that we wanted to talk about soul mission and why we decided to incarnate here. What are we doing?
Doesn't everybody?
Yeah. Outside of our 3D experience. Yes. So before we started recording, we were talking about you being in a career that we manifested that we are not particularly enjoying. And it is kind of getting worse as we go along here, and we are needing to create some type of exit plan. So your higher self, when you were talking, this happened to me in several different positions that I was in where it was okay, but then I was waiting too long to exit and things just kept on getting more intense until they kind of either blew up in my face or I just quit or, these things couldn't take it anymore. So when we get to this place, the issue is that we are so steeped in negativity and resentment about these places and spaces. Not the people necessarily, because I know you said the coworkers, they're cool. But we get very resentful and then we are vibrating on this lower frequency and then we end up pulling in another position that's the same job, different flavor.
That makes sense, yeah.
Okay. So higher self is saying, where can we redirect that energy and intention of when we do go into work, whether that's at home or going into the office, of what are the things that I do really enjoy about this, even if it's solely the coworkers that you get to work with. Okay. What are the things that I really enjoy and make me happy while I'm here? Because when we're doing that, we're placing more positive energy into a future timeline and we are focused on gratitude and right, and it's keeping us in that higher vibration, higher frequency. If we are continuing to focus on the negativity, we're just going to create a whole nother timeline like that once you exit. And I know it's difficult when it's getting rough and it's about time to leave, but when I was working in a bar, I was a bar manager. And then I worked in a nonprofit. I was kind of spiraling out like that, and I wasn't able to find a new position. And as soon as I switched and I said, you know what, I'm going to really focus on what is bringing me enjoyment here and just find the pockets where I can throughout the day, that's when a new timeline opened up for me to get a better position and something that was in more resonance with my soul, because now the perspectives that I'm looking through are, this is what I want in life instead of this is what I hate.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was thinking, and I've seen some other things too, where it's like, no matter the situation, and also other people that we know have said, it's the same thing with the relationships too. It's your perspective and how you frame things.
Absolutely. That's easier said than done when you're like at the job.
Yeah.
this is when you start to feel your vibration and frequency like really tanking, is we need to have those like pivot moments, those to get back to our homeostasis of what is it that I can be grateful and thankful for within this position. Just little teeny tiny things too. It doesn't have these big monumentous things. It can be like, wow, I'm really glad that I can work from home.
Yep.
Because if we focus on that, then maybe we end up doing that in the future as well. Okay. Your higher self is saying something else here. 1 second.
Oh.
Okay. So what is it that we want to be doing if we were going to exit this position? Or do we not know? And that's okay too.
No, there's an idea that's been brewing along with the subtle messages that I've been getting over the past month. Like, this stuff back here, this is just a small part. I could rotate my camera around if you're cool with that. I don't know.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I would love to see. I was like, dang, he got a lot of music stuff going on.
This is
wow,
just a small bit of manifestation I'm able to manifest material things.
Yeah, yeah.
There was something that, in my youth, I was like, this is what I want to do, and blah, blah, blah. And they're like, oh, go get a degree and you need to get a real
Mm-hmm.
job. Then you can follow your hobby. And well, I just continued at the job and kept buying more gear. And it's perpetual procrastination. But there were some small times where I actually sat down and recorded. And, those are times where you feel alive. I also get my kicks in karaoke.
Okay.
Um, but yeah, part of me has been thinking I've got a lot of gear that I've accrued over at least a decade, and I built a really advanced computer for like personal use, I should say, because there's stuff that even goes past that, but for media content creation in mind.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, part of me is where I'm currently mentally at right now is like, okay, we'll stay in the job as long as we can, but we're going to get out and give yourself a break, because I'm contractor primarily,
Mm-hmm.
and I got out of my full time um, back in May of 2022,
Mm-hmm. And now we're
and
doing
I've
contract work.
and I'm doing contract
Got
work.
it.
But there was a break of 5 months where I was like, all right, I got 5 months. Let's do something. So I built a computer and all this other stuff, and then I just sat there in anxiety. Like, there's nothing coming in. People stuff just keeps, going out, and you have that lack mentality, indoctrination. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but I have all those things. I know that I have a lot of potential and capability and drive for things that I'm passionate about. Um, it's more or less, and with all the messages I've been getting, is like a check-in with self, like, hey, this is a time to address these things that you've been subconsciously putting on the back burner forever, like yourself, more or less.
Yeah, yeah.
um and just take a chance on me just getting it started is really what I think is the main thing, not like getting it started and expect it to blow up overnight, because with Pluto going through Aquarius, that's a 20-year gradual thing. But the thing is, it's like it's an air thing. Communication, media, and content are going to be big in general. So that's kind of like where my mind's at. And these things, like playing music, coming up with things, and who said it? There's a gentleman that I follow on YouTube who said, get what's in his head translated onto the guitar and recorded, something like that. Like, because it's all downloads, or, music, or at least I like to think of it as, music that already exists, but um, based upon the thinking of the system of what we know.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like, I always get these ideas, and I need to get better about, like, recording them into a voice recorder and be like, I have a whole lot of ideas in my voice recorder. Um, but yeah, I've just not taken the time. I've definitely been letting external drivers progress me along for a long time. So, as cliche as it sounds, but now sitting here, with the mirror, it's like, oh, okay. So I'm looking, or rather establishing uh a time to get out inevitably, at least for a small bit, to get things started. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Is there a reality, and this might be applicable, maybe not, but is there a
Mhm.
reality where you could be giving music lessons to other people? Whether that is actually giving them music lessons or teaching on YouTube, or there's a lot of different areas that you could get into with that.
um Maybe not
That's just
necessarily
one timeline.
giving. Yeah.
Hmm.
I mean, potentially, if I accomplish learning, I'm a play by ear type of guy, and
Okay.
there's lots of jokes with music reading. I can read music. It's been a while since I've had to care, so I'd have to get brushed up again. But I'm more of a see or hear and replicate type creator, I guess, if you want to call it that.
Okay. That's
Yeah.
okay.
So
Just a question.
now, oh yeah, yeah. If I were
Yeah,
to
yeah.
like teach someone basics or whatever, yeah, I could do that. But for me, it would be hard to translate because for some reason a lot of things just come naturally. So
Yes. Okay. So when I was working at the nonprofit, I was a teacher there, and I got promoted up into being a program manager, big girl job. And it was very incredibly taxing and sounds very similar, not the same, but where you're at. Okay. And I had no energy to do anything. I was so burnt out. And I was also running my business part time, but I really couldn't do what I wanted to do over there because I was so stressed out from all this stuff over here. My central nervous system was just so activated, right? And I said, I can't do this anymore if I'm going to step into my soul mission over here and do the things that I want to do. So that's kind of where you're at, right? So I was not in a place where I could go full time in my business because I just wasn't ready for that. And I said, I am going to take a little bit of an ego hit, and I am going to go work at the doggy daycare that I once owned. And now I'm going to go be a manager there working for my ex. And first thought was, oh, wow, like I have all of this knowledge and wisdom and a degree in psychology and been doing all these things. And now I'm going to go do this over here, which there's nothing wrong with it. That was just like my personal experience. And I said, if I go work with dogs all day long, it is going to, one, make me happy. And it's something that I feel really good about because I'm helping the dogs and their owners. And it's going
yeah.
to free up so much more of my time and energy to invest over here in my business. And that's going to accelerate my journey tenfold. That kind of sounds where you're at right now of, hey, whatever we get into next is only a stepping stone. That's what your higher self wants you to know. Let's say that you exit whatever vocation we're in right now, and then we make a pivot and we go get into something that pays our bills while we're figuring out what we want to do over here in our passions. That is not your forever stop.
Right.
Because you're probably at the same time working on those financial vibrations and frequencies of being okay by yourself and not having things immediately come in. So they are saying when you make that jump and that exit out, it's okay to get a stepping stone along the way. It doesn't mean anything about you. It also doesn't mean that you're going to be stuck there forever. We are moving into a place and space where we can at least raise our vibration and frequency and not feel so stressed out and so anxious, so that we have more time and energy to invest over here. That is one option. The other option is you just exit and then you take that break, like you said. But if we do that, then we need to be continuing to work on the wealth mindset.
Right.
And really
Yeah.
taking a look at those areas in our life so that way we can have a smoother transition into what we want to do for our passions for work, which I'm going to share the spiritual gift that came through for you that I've never seen before with anybody else. And it's really awesome. And so this is going to be one of the key.
Is it because I'm one of your first guys?
Guys are very different. Yeah, they are very different the way that their things come through. But this is a very expandatory gift that once you learn about it, I think that that's probably going to be another one of your passion pursuits that you go down, and it makes complete sense why you said that you're so into astrology now. So when you're thinking about these passions, as far as music or putting computers together or whatever that looks like for you, what is a tangible outcome of that? What do we want to see come into fruition?
That's really funny. And the answer is I couldn't tell you. I mean, the answer is, for me, the idea of taking the break and getting invested in all of this is to hop in a flow and just really give it my all. Um, and on at the same um, establish mantras if I feel the need to say them. Um, which some are, people are out there like, you gotta say them every day, gotta say them every day, gotta say them every day. And for me, it's like, sure. But also I already mentioned, like, subconsciously I'm aware of the indoctrination, but I'm also aware of the path that I'm following right now.
Mm-hmm.
So I know that everything that's meant for me is already here. It's just when it happens, it'll happen. I know that opening and engaging, immersing, becoming one with my flow is a key to opening the door to many other doors. Even though
Absolutely.
I've been stuck in a place, a cycle, on and off. I've had many enjoyable times. I've taken many breaks. I've exercised my quit muscle.
Mm-hmm.
uh, but that's what the break slash experiment will be, is to really find joy. And I guess the the most basic premise would be that some people would take interest, and I could be like, all right, cool, if you guys support me, like, you donate here or whatever. As cliched it is, but the idea of money being an energy, if people are willing to give me their time, I would imagine that I've donated plenty of money to other people's projects before. So I don't see why, you know, if, or I should say, once I share what I have, because I know that some of my stuff is pretty good, and when it's in my head, it sounds even better. Um, but there's something else that I've seen where it's like there's an audience for everything. So I assume that there's an audience for projects that I would be sharing with people as well. Let alone, it'd be nice to um, either network and collaborate with new people, or bring in friends that have inspired me and get them some shine, so to say. Um, but yeah, just, and it's really funny too because it goes against a lot of inherent insecurities, so to say, like things that I know I have to work through, but like I'm at a stage where I'm just like, I don't care anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I know that I have to do the opposite of the Aquarius energy thing, which is my rising sign, and be the Leo, like, be cool with sharing and putting myself out there. And I really don't care what people think. But
Mm-hmm.
on the inside, I do. Oh
Yeah,
my
yeah.
gosh. Yeah. Um, but there's so many people out there, and I watch them all the time. And that's one of the biggest things. Is like, I've been the student, I've been the observer. I
Be the participant.
I want to be the doer. I want
Yes.
to be the guy that inspires people. I want to be a catalyst. Yeah.
Okay. So now we're getting into the deeper nitty gritty of it. What do we want to inspire people through our projects that we are sharing? What is our hope for them? What is the goal? What is the outcome for self and for others? It can be real simple too. It don't have to be some type
I
of
know.
convoluted. It could just be very
I was
simple.
just making sure that I was not coming up with a convoluted answer. The
Yes.
first thing is like, man, that's kind of cliche. And then I was like, no, it's honest. It's all good. It's just to inspire people to embrace themselves and realize that who you are. uh like you value yourself and others value you, and that we all have a value, we all have something to contribute. That's the cliche thing, but it's
I don't
still
think that's
really
cliche.
profound.
I think
Yeah.
I think that's beautiful of when you are in your creative efforts and your creative energy, your God energy of, materializing these things so that others can enjoy and experience them and we all learn and grow together. Like that's right. That's the new earth paradigm that we're moving into. And it's like you'll be taken care of if you just stay in your authenticity and you not produce, but you create whatever it is
Yeah.
that you want
Yeah.
to create. Okay. So that is the fuel. That's what we need to be focused on when we get out and exit this career of every day waking up and saying, I need to show up so that I can inspire myself. But then also, that's part of my soul mission is inspiring people to do this as well in whatever way that they want to do it. That's that deeper parts of your soul mission. So that when you're asking, what is my soul mission? It sounds like you know exactly what it is. It is to inspire creativity and authenticity within other persons so that they can live in their bliss and be taken care of, which is it the universe taking care of them? Is the universe is them taking care of themselves? Because when you are in a beautiful flow state and are in resonance with your core essence, everything works out. I mean, you still got to take action steps and do all that stuff, but it's a lot
Yeah.
easier to navigate reality. So that's what you're trying to do through helping people or through sharing your projects with other persons.
And it's really easy to see nowadays too. Just like, I mean, even use you as an example, him, many others, just putting yourself out there in a public forum platform, if you will, and gaining people's attention,
Mm-hmm.
as I guess, yeah, in our contemporary times, that is a currency.
Attention is currency. It
Yeah.
is the majority currency is attention.
Right. And that's why, cliche again, but that's why the media fights so hard for it.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And that's why they push too, because fear attention is the biggest driver of people's conscious awareness, right? So that's why
Yeah.
me and Kimberly and you were all like, okay, if you're gonna look somewhere, look over here. And then I'll pump you up and hype you up and cheer you up and tell you how awesome and amazing you are and get you in where you need to be instead of looking over there at that stuff, right? So we do have to work on being comfortable with being perceived and being seen and being in that kind of leadership role because it also sounds like in congruence with sharing your projects, you're going to end up also kind of becoming a motivational speaker at the same time. I can see you creating some content about like, hey man, follow your dreams. Okay, because you can be here too.
Oh, totally.
Yes.
Like I would push the message of manifestation, or
Mhm.
follow your flow, all of that,
Yes, yes,
because
yes.
I've been building my story. Like, Rich has a story,
Hmm.
and yeah,
You're in this,
I've
you're in your story right now.
oh yeah, of
Yeah,
course.
yeah.
And it's just, I guess, I haven't focused so much on the specificity specificity, I don't
Uh-huh.
know
Yeah.
the term,
Oh,
um
you got it. Specificity.
yeah, of how it's supposed to look like. I know what I want it to feel like, of course, and that's why I want to engage, because I know, like, you know get pumped up and stuff like that or whatever, but that's putting that frequency out, like, this is me being alive, and this is what it feels for me like to be alive. um but yeah, just like Rich said, that he had no idea that it was going to lead to where he is now,
Hmm.
and it happened relatively fast for him. It was like, I don't know, within there was a I started following him in 2017. Within yeah, by the time 2020 hit, there was already a substantial change, and like now, look at where he is. I don't know
Yeah.
how much or where you are of Rich's story, but yeah, um, in youth or whatever, you're given these ideas of like, oh, like, you know, or people say like, oh, time flies, and then you're like, yeah, whatever. And this past year, um, come next month, I was working in another state, and I was there for approximately 8 months, and I didn't even realize that until I started talking to the friends like, oh wow, this past
Mm-hmm.
year only feels like 6 months or less. That's ridiculous.
Yes.
So, when things like that come to mind, I'm just like, all right, what am I really doing with my life? Because it's just becoming perpetual. And not to say that it's not uncomfortable, because it's pretty comfortable and I'm okay. But the thing is that I know that there's way more. And that's the
Mm-hmm.
itch that I have now, is like, all right, well, there's way more than this. So how do I get that?
Yes. Now we're gonna talk about that. We're gonna get into that. We're gonna get into that.
Right
Okay.
on. Cool. And
So
the
yes.
next slide.
Yes. So your higher self is also saying like one of the ways that we can get into that is like okay. One, now we have the fuel, we have the motivation, we have the desire. Like we know that that's part of your soul mission, and activating that with others, also activating that within yourself. You're very articulate, very, very articulate with your words, and they're streamlined together very well. Your higher self is saying, we could
Thank you.
get on camera. You're welcome. We could get on camera and start talking about these things and
Yeah.
start
Yeah.
sharing, because that is inspiring. Seeing how you in real time are making this exit and unplug out of the 3D, and what a beautiful thing in space to be helping people through. I did that through my journey as well, and took people through that as I was exiting, and all the fears and the anxieties and the worries and the challenges that came up. And there's been a lot of my community that watched that entire process and have been with me ever since. And they needed that during their time. And I needed that support from them as well, of them saying, oh my gosh, thank you so much for doing this. You're inspiring me. You're awesome. Like letting them support you while you're going through these processes yourself. And it becomes this co-collaborative experience that you get to share with others, and that
Yeah.
can be part of your grander story as well.
Yeah. No, that has to be really.
Mm-hmm.
I have I showed you. I have a lot of more a lot more material things.
Mm-hmm.
I have all these things, but for me personally, like I get no joy from them unless I'm with people. I like to share
Mm-hmm.
experiences.
Yeah.
So me having all of this stuff, it's like it's great, and that's another reason why pushing or whatever, and like you saying, the motivational speaking thing helps. Is I want to interact with people. Um, I want to have experiences, where I'm sharing, and hopefully there's reciprocation, and but and then the excitable firing of catalysm and stuff, or yeah, catalysts going off, just or neurons and synapses snapping, whatever you want to term, but just like air signs doing this. But if everyone is connected, sometimes you need to just talk to yourself, but yourself is someone over here,
Oh
type
yeah.
thing.
Or watching
Yeah.
yourself back on camera. I watch all of my videos back, all of them to this day, and it's seeing myself through a completely different perspective lens, but then also, like you said, seeing yourself through other people as well. So those are some action steps that we could take in the here and now and go ahead and jump on into being a motivational speaker. There's no spot really that like you say, okay, now this is it. It's like, no, I'm going to decide that this is who I am and this is what I'm doing right now. And this is the soul mission that I'm working on. That can be today.
True.
Yes. Okay. Before we get into the spiritual gifts here, do you mind if I run and take a restroom break really quick?
Please, please.
Okay. Are you okay to go like 15 minutes over, or are you tight on time?
No, I'm totally fine.
Cool. Okay. I just like to check in and make sure. Okay. I'll
Yep.
be back
Mhm.
in just. All right.
Okay.
So this is going to be a lot of information. And if you do not understand all the information right now, you might, but if we do not understand all the information right now, just know that it is going to download in as it is meant to. And your higher self is going to give you the insight and the intuition and the directions and the clarity. This is helping you see the overall template in which you hold. And so that when you do fully expand into this gift, you will have all of the keys for this. Okay, so when I went to your energy field, I saw you, but you were a different incarnation, and you were holding a star in your hand, and you crushed it, and it turned into like fine dust and powder, and you opened up your hand, and I was like, what the heck are you doing? Because you were this really big, enormous being in order to be able to hold this ginormous star in your hand and crush it like that. And you said that I am gathering energy to rematerialize it. I said, okay, so you are a very, 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 very old soul. Many, 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 you've been around for a long time. Okay. So I said, what are you going to do with this energy? And I was taken to a laboratory, if you will. And you said that you are a star geneticist. I said, okay. What you are doing here is it was you, and it's also a team of other people. And this is some high level Akashic level type of work, because there are these persons who have been contracted specifically in time's history to do this. So he said that what you're doing is you're taking energy from these stars and taking it back to the laboratory, and you are having people's higher selves throughout the cosmos come to this location, get this star energy, and encode it into this person's DNA to help them remember their connection to the cosmos. So it is genetically modifying the persons who are incarnating throughout time and history. Okay. Have you ever seen the Powerpuff Girls?
Yeah, I own it.
Okay. Okay, because your higher self wanted me to give you that imagery. I
Yeah,
can't remember.
sugar, spice, and
Yes.
everything nice. Chemical X.
Do you,
Yep.
what is the guy? Is it just Professor? He just goes by Professor?
Professor. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so you know when he's like putting the things in to like
Hmm.
create the Powerpuff Girls, that's what this geneticist is doing with this star energy to create
Right on.
not just humans, but creating all different types of beings, okay, that need this type of genetic modification. And he said that these remembrances are being hereditarily passed down through the different generations, because there are a lot of planetary systems that are living in these rudimentary systems like planet Earth, where we have rescinded and we have lost our connection to ancient magic and the cosmos and things of that nature. So he was saying that as our veil is getting thinner and as more people's perceptual awarenesses are raising and they're more open to knowing these things about themselves and believing these things about themselves, they're going to be able to start connecting with galaxies that are outside of our current one through astral projection. So when I work with people in their Akashic records, for the most part, if they have connections to different planetary systems, it's ones that are in our galaxy. And they have a difficult time with that to begin with. Okay. So there are these other systems that are super, super, super far out but people's comprehension is not at that level to be able to even perceive that yet. So these different encodements that they have in their DNA, when it's reawakened within them, those stars that you have been out in the cosmos collapsing and getting their energy, they're creating time capsules in time and space, because it is going to hold the vibrational energy of all of the other different planets and stars that were surrounding those collapsed planets. So basically, if you were standing on that planet before it collapsed, you could see all of these other ones, right? Before it collapsed. And so you would have the information about those as well, theoretically. Okay. So what you are able to do is walk into people's energy fields and reawaken this cosmic DNA within them to help them remember their connection with the cosmos. But there are specific people that are going to be able to astral project outside of our galaxy that need to come in contact with you, because you hold the keys for that, because of your time as this laboratorist. Okay. So when I am helping people remember their star lineages, for the most part, it's places like Sirius and Lemuria and the Pleiades or Atlantis and all these things. They're closer to our galaxy and what is known in the collective consciousness. And then every now and again, I come across these people and I'm taken to planets that there's no information about. Like I went to a planet called Alendor and one called Limneck and just other places. You hold the keys for these persons to remember those from where they've been from back in time and space. Okay. A couple different things that can help you reawaken this within yourself, because you hold the template, because a different incarnation of you has done this. So you could channel this modality directly from him and pull it through to materialize in this incarnation as well. Okay, so a couple different things is you learning about different starseed planets that are closer to our consciousness now. So like Lemuria, Sirius, Atlantis, all these different things, Andromeda. He was saying, okay, first of all, how are you with channeling anything?
Not aware if I do or not.
Okay. Okay. So that is where we're gonna have to get in first. Okay. It's learning about channeling and how to channel things and how to meditate, and learning about astral projection and expanding our consciousness in those areas, which is not going to be very difficult for you. That'll be easy once you get into it. So okay. It sounds right, but you already have.
No, it's totally fine. It's totally fine. Thanks to my new Taurus, my clairs have been a lot more potent. Like my clair audience, anyways. I always hear them.
Okay, got it. Yes. Okay, keep
I'm
going
like,
down those
at
tracks.
least it's like I'm primed up, for channeling or whatever.
Yes. Okay. We're opening the channels to channeling.
Yeah.
So because this version of you, he's had this job for a long time. A very long time. And
so yeah, when you say old soul, you're like creation, old time or whatever. That's scary. Like that's a big responsibility. I wasn't expecting anything super grandiose, but that's like what I'm feeling.
Yes, it's very much wow. Okay. So they have a filing system, if you want to think of it in human terms, okay, which has
compartmentalization, very Capricorn.
Billions of records of different planets and stars, okay, because it's infinite how far it expands. And he has traveled everywhere, okay, throughout time and space. So what you're going to be able to do in the future is be able to connect into his energy field, look through his eyes at the documentations of these different planetary and star systems and retrieve the information through him and then pull it through in this incarnation. Okay, so it's
Okay.
almost like
So it's kind of
remote
like,
viewing through him.
yeah, what you do with the Akashics, except I'm
Mhm.
doing this with the galaxy and star information for other people.
Yes. Yes. Okay. Oh, let me fix my camera. Hold on. Okay, so not
That's
only
fine.
that, all the
Yes.
coworkers that he works with, okay, they're not coworkers, but whatever, the people that he works with.
Yeah. They're a team.
Yes. You will be able to also speak with them because they also have their own experiences and have been to different places than he has. Okay, so this is like an expandatory network, kind of like you
Oh,
were talking about before,
yeah,
like
this is like,
collaborating.
yeah, like a council. This is like
Mhm.
the Watcher type stuff, like Marvel comics, whatever, where they have the aliens that just sit there and they watch over all the occurrences, and
That's exactly
that's
what this
messed
is
up.
like. That's your part of one of those councils in that different incarnation because from what I saw, just for right now, there was
Oh,
5 or 6 people who are on this team. It's not like a bunch of them. Okay. It's like these were hand selected persons to do this. Okay. So yes, they're in
too
fact.
much pressure. That's really, I was never expecting something like that. Not that that isn't totally awesome, but that's that's that also, I don't know if you could subconsciously pick this up, but everyone's story is from Bastrop. Um, everyone that I shook hands with and hugged or whatever, I don't know if you had, I think you had an experience too. But a lot of the people that I met and shook hands and they all had the really, the experience post the solar eclipse. Except
Mhm.
for I don't recall um shaking hands with Rion's partner. I can't remember. She
Oh,
does
Shauna.
partner. Yeah, Shauna. There you go.
Mhm.
But yeah, like of course I gave Kim a hug. Case had his experience. I shook Rich's hand. I shook Leah's hand, and all of them are just like, oh, I'm like, oh, I'm not feeling anything. So I'm like, I wonder if there was something linked with that. But now you're saying like, oh, like, by my contact or, whatever, indirectly giving them keys to such, because Rich of all people, I would see him as one to not only understand some of this, but have ties to his planet of origin, let alone other places as well. But yeah,
You're definitely an
anyways, that's
activator.
well, I feel bad, but I mean, also good. But
No,
it's just
don't
like,
feel
oh,
bad.
I didn't
No,
mean for you to have a
people
bad
want those
time.
experiences. They
Yeah,
want
yeah, yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. But yes, the experiences that we went through, that activation that we all went through, that was super intense.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm grateful that I was there because it just happened to line up. But then again, I also understand, like, okay, like this is part of the path that I'm manifesting, anyways. So me
Mhm.
being there, everyone that I met, regardless of how small that interaction, like there was meaning to it. At least that's how I
Oh
feel.
yeah, absolutely.
Um,
Yeah, you're meant to be there. Yeah, because you received your own activations there in order to be here listening to
yeah,
this and being able to
right.
open up that template. So yeah, it's all kind of congruence with one another.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I asked him what his name was because oftentimes it's easier to connect with these other incarnations if you have a name. And he said you can call him North Star. And I was like, okay, that's very on the nose. I was like, why? What are you talking about? And so the North Star is also known as Polaris, okay, which also
Oh, that's
has some
okay.
very ancient history with Native Americans and
Okay.
other indigenous cultures. Okay. And I asked him why he was going by North Star because he would not tell me his regular schmegular name. One, because I don't think that I can pronounce it. But
Mm.
he said that all of him and his coworkers go by different code names
Mm-hmm.
of these stars and planets that they have chosen. And he said it would make more sense for you to call him that because that's how he's known to these other people. And they also go by their code names. So for the time being, He said, call him that. Okay.
Right on. It's just, it reminds me of the scene Step Brothers. It's like, you got to call me Dragon. You got to
Oh,
call
yeah.
me Nighthawk. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what I'm getting.
He's like, I'm
It's
North
funny.
Star. Okay.
It's very cute. But Polaris is pretty dope. So it's like,
Yeah, I
yo,
mean,
Polaris.
it could be interchangeable for Polaris as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So to recap here, he's saying that helping people reawaken their cosmic DNA. He said that's also why you have never felt like you resonate with humans, and you always feel like that you are kind of the, let's call it the rainbow sheep, and the person that kind of sticks out. Okay, that's because okay, when I met you, I was like, oh, this is an alien. I was like, this is somebody that has not had hardly any Earth incarnations. This is one of our first go, not our first go around, but one of our first go arounds. I was like, this person is obviously not from here. Okay.
That's messed up because I have like such a grounded energy, at least in my mind or whatever, or at least
Oh,
it
you can still have
feels
a
on the
grounded,
surface
you can
grounded.
still have a grounded
Yeah.
energy. Yeah, you can be very, very, very grounded, but when another alien type of person see, I was like, oh, that's an alien. And it's because you've just spent a lot more time outside of Earth.
The game.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah.
So your template is helping people astral travel. The reason that they need to come into contact with you is to help them remember their cosmic connections and help them be able to portal jump more easily through these planetary systems, because those people are going to be the persons that are bringing back knowledge and wisdom and technology from outside of this galaxy and outside of what's in the collective consciousness right now, kind of like what Nikolai Tesla was doing and how he got so far advanced, right? So you're priming and prepping people to be able to go do that, but your different incarnation, North Star over here, was saying you can do the same thing too, because you've actually been already to these places and spaces. So don't think it's just a gift for other people. It's also for you too. For you to do these travels. So he said, in order to reactivate this gift would be to research about different starseed planets. Just start there because there's already a plethora of information. Get a little bit deeper into astronomy if you want to. You don't have to do that necessarily, but it would be beneficial if that's something you're interested in. Learning about astral traveling, getting in meditation, and asking North Star to teach you, to help guide you, to take you on travels with him. That takes time and practice and energy.
Now, with the notion of asking, that's pretty prevalent in the community with regards to spirits, guides, etc., even channeling. Is it just simple as asking because of the intent?
It also depends on a couple other factors sometimes of how much fear do you have running? How much programming do you have that's blocking in the way? Does that incarnation want to work with you? Because they might say no. They're their own person. And they might not want to help you with something, right? So there's a couple different factors that could be in play there, but overall, yes, it's really just as simple as asking, and then how much time and energy are you willing to invest in this gift and that knowledge and that wisdom? It's kind of like a friendship that you would have here in this incarnation, like, okay, or a mentor that you would have here on this plane. We need to go sit in and listen and learn. And some things that can help you, because if you're not hearing clearly right now in order to perceive information from him, is one, just ask him for insights and downloads and guidance towards the right directions of what you should be researching and what you should be paying energy and attention into. That's coming through your physical sensations or your intuition, right? When we're learning about astral traveling and channeling and meditating, those are priming our templates to get ready to be able to hear him more clearly. I cannot hear the things that I hear now if I hadn't learned about subconscious mindset reprogramming and how to regulate my brainwave states and about chakras and about grounding and about how to hold empathic boundaries. Like there's a lot of layers that I had to work through in order to advance to the place that I am now. And it was with the, I don't want to call it like boring stuff, but it was the grunt work that I had to put in the beginning to be able to do this now. So same thing goes kind of with you. You gotta go through 101 of channeling to reawaken these things. And it doesn't take as long as it sounds is going to, because it didn't take that long for me. Like once I got into it, because we're not learning, we're re-remembering, and we're channeling a modality from a version of ourselves that already has the complete guide.
Right.
You can bypass a lot of human time of learning if you can just learn how to channel from your different incarnations. I did not understand Reiki. I started with the Akashic records first, which most people start with Reiki and chakras. I needed to learn chakras to better conceptualize the records. But then when I got into Reiki, I was like, this don't make no sense. And I put it down, figured out how to channel my different incarnations, and then found a Reiki master of myself that I just channeled directly from.
Okay.
And bypassed a lot of time that I would have had to spend learning Reiki.
I mean, it makes total sense though. That's definitely what you're describing. That's the essence of tapping in. It's realizing that, you know, your particular soul energy, whatever's inhabited with you or not, but your collective has and is already, I mean, we're all simultaneously existing. So it's just being like, it's like, hey, like, it's been a long time since we talked with another, or this is my first time, walkie talkie, this is working. And just I got the picture of just reaching out to people on chat back in the 90s when the internet was new and exciting, like hey. But some of my best friends I've met via the internet, which is like an alien thing too, so to say.
Facts. That's a good analogy. I like that. Again, comparison. Yes.
But yeah, I'm going to go visit my friend in Pittsburgh, who I met over the internet, and we've been friends.
Oh, nice.
Like since high school or whatever. So yeah.
He also wants to say, oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, when you were talking about everything, it's like, yeah, for everyone that's not aware, because I know we're going to be sharing this, but you have to accept that and know that you already know a lot more than you think you know, and everything is just reconnecting, recollecting, let's tie back to crushing the star and rematerializing it, because you said it's a time capsule, but in another, outside of this realm, let's say time doesn't really exist, but it is like a commodity or a material within itself. So crushing it into dust makes it easier to distribute, or more finite, and therefore I guess easier to take on in smaller bits. I don't know. I don't know where it's going, but that's kind of like my train of thought. Yeah, as opposed to it just being like this momentous thing, but crushing it into,
split it down.
Yeah,
we gotta split it down so people can ingest it in their DNA.
Yeah.
Yes.
But yeah, for everyone, it's like,
go ahead.
Yeah, just get comfortable with being uncomfortable and having to do some things to learn. Because if you're ready into all of this, there's got to be a small part of you that's either studious or just open to anything that comes. So
Facts.
Yeah.
And there's pieces of
All
you
right.
that know that these things are your truth. That's why we continue to follow down those paths, because we're like, I know it's in there. I just need clarity and direction on what it is that's in there. And so like what we're
Yeah,
doing
that would be nice.
yeah. Yes. Oh, look at you already getting on your motivational speaker box.
Yeah, I just wanted to try it out.
I love
Yeah.
that. That's a very positive message.
Yeah.
He wanted me to tell you that, okay, so one, he wants you to be aware that these stars that he's crushing are already about to combust. So it's not like we're going in and destroying these planets for no reason. Okay, these stars for no reason, like they're on their last bits of
Yeah,
life.
it's not like a Galactus motivation, like where you're eating planets or whatever with inhabitants
Right.
and
He
stuff
was
on them.
like, these are already at the end of their incarnations. Okay. And we're just, like you said, crushing it down into bits so it's easier to intertwine with people's DNA when they come to this laboratory. Okay. So, however, because time is not linear, when you are learning how to do this astral traveling with him, he can take you back to the planets and the stars when they were still alive and thriving as well, so that you can actually experience what it was like to be there in that time and space.
That's gnarly.
That's where people are going to be able, those templates that you're activating within people is, let me astral project to that planet or that star with that knowledge and that wisdom, and to be able to experience in real time and then bring that back here to planet Earth or wherever else they're going.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Another thing he said is we can apply this and move it on over here with the music projects that you want to do. You probably have some other incarnations that have been doing that can help you in that area too and channel from them. So just bear that in mind. That when you get to the channeling, okay? All right. Any questions about the things that we were talking about?
Well, we just talked about activating gifts. I wrote down some things. Um, Following flow, which I've discussed. Anything about spirit guides besides a higher self in Polaris?
Let me see.
Mm-hmm.
That's very interesting. So okay, this is not a spirit guide, but this makes sense why you have a connection with Kimberly. Okay, so
Okay.
um when I was in Kimberly's Akashic Records one day, there was a big Komodo dragon looking thing. It was an iguana, but not obviously, it was from a different planet. And she was from this, she's not from this planet, but she spent an incarnation as this creature there. Okay. So when I just went into your field, I saw that you also have one of those beings. It's not necessarily a spirit guide, but it
Mm-hmm.
is in your field for some reason.
Right
Okay.
on. So it's kind of like a familiar.
Yeah, kind of like a familiar. Okay.
Yeah.
And I've only seen these type of beings in somebody else's records one other time, because I was like, oh dang, I have a friend that has that too. So it would be probably beneficial when you are getting into channeling and learning how to do that to connect to that creature so that he can help you astral project to that planet, because there's something there that you need to learn, or there's some type of experience that you need to have.
Right on.
So connecting with him. Okay?
Yeah, no, it's totally fine.
A way that you can do that is, okay, it doesn't look like Godzilla, okay, but looking at pictures of like Komodo dragons or like iguanas
Mm-hmm.
or like Godzilla and things like that can help you fine tune what he looks like, because it's very difficult for me to describe without you being able to see it.
No, it's
Um,
fair.
But that would be beneficial because there's something on that planet, and that's really interesting with your connection with Kimberly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I don't know what the planet's
Yeah.
name is. There's lava there, if that helps. Not the whole planet, but there's like these lava pits that are around.
Okay.
But as far as guys, that's what I'm seeing coming through now. And then I
Okay.
got like a familiar.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yes. What was your biggest takeaway today?
I wasn't expecting the North Star Polaris connection. It still sounds very grandiose and high pressure and a lot of responsibility, but that's okay. Part of me is also like, well, that's awesome. Like, whoever thought? Um, okay, I'll do what's possible or what is needed, and we'll see where it goes. Because that's all I can do at this moment. Um, and then for myself personally, I think the biggest takeaway is an affirmation that, regardless of how the nearest future unfolds, but or how it unfolds, as long as I allow myself to be in a state of flow and enjoy something and immerse myself in that, for because time doesn't really matter, it's more the potency,
Mm-hmm.
but that will open doors, and that's what I want my exit from what I've been doing.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's
E
that's
Go ahead.
oh, I'm sorry.
Go
I was
ahead.
just gonna
Go ahead.
say that's a positive message for me, and that's what's been being relayed to me over the past month, especially with even the pipe back into astrology, but that's like my thing. You had mentioned where you got started and stuff. The thing that really got me into knowing, like, oh, this is more real. Like, I've had experiences, tactile experiences, where I felt energies in rooms and being brushed upon and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But I did a past life regression with Elaine Bracken, I believe her name. She was based in Indiana. Now she's in Asheville, North Carolina. But that session opened me up, and when you said alien, that particular callback or scenario that was tapped into was someone that grew up on another planet, because when I looked up into the sky, I saw like 3 moons. So
Mm, yeah.
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 Um, but yeah. And anyways, I forgot where I was going with everything. But and hopefully I didn't lose you in your train of thought. I apologize.
No, 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 you're good. You're good.
Okay.
I was gonna mention, just because you can do something doesn't mean that you have to, or doesn't mean that you need to. So there's
Mm.
not some type of cosmic weight on you. Well, this is what you got to do for the collective, because those persons will figure it out. If they don't have you, you are an accelerator, you're an activator, and we love that if that's what you choose to do. But that's also not your cosmic duty to do that. You've already been
Right.
doing it in other
Yeah, I'm ready here on
incarnations.
Earth. Like,
Like we're already doing that, right? So if you want to do that, that's fantastic and that's great. But if you choose one day, like, I don't want to do this anymore, you don't have to. It's also not something that you're always consciously doing. Sometimes it's just part of your template, like radiating out into other people. However, because you have access to this filing system,
mhm.
if you wanted to one day, you could offer sessions where you help people remember where they're from.
Right.
So
Okay.
there's a lot of different
That's
options
ironic.
available there.
That's super ironic, because just for the simplicity, I have a very close friend, or yeah, we're close, like brother and sister.
Mhm.
Um, but she was asking me, was like, hey, do you know anybody that does stuff with, like, star seeds, and what do you know about this? I'm like, oh yeah, blah blah blah. And I was like, well, Sage or Kim could probably help you out. And now
Mhm.
you're saying, like, Well,
That's actually you.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's not what I was anticipating, but yeah, well, that's fine. If I get, or rather, I have the ability, once I, you know, figure it out, I'll be able to like, oh yeah, all right, cool. Well, step into my office.
Yeah, I would, with her permission, obviously,
Mhm.
ask her. Would it be okay, not me, but you, would it be okay
Yeah.
if I step into your energy fields and I just see what information comes through? We don't have to wait a year. You might
Mm.
be surprised at what comes through if you sit and intentionally connect with her energy field and her Akashic field and ask North Star to help you download that information. You might be surprised what comes through
Okay.
because it's
I
already a template that you
definitely,
hold. It's more so getting through the belief and like that you can do these things.
and I guess that's something that has to be accepted as well,
Hmm.
because if I'm tied to Polaris and North Star, is there a mutual understanding, or do we have to open up the communication, be like, knock, 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 hey, remember me?
No, he knows who he's very aware of who you are. He wants to work with you. Otherwise, he wouldn't have come through. Like I can I am not able to. Okay, I'm gonna take that back.
Mhm.
I can perceive different timelines with people who do not end up working together. That's not always why different incarnations come through. Sometimes incarnations come through because they're like, oh, you have a karmic rollover lesson, or this happened in this one, and that's being reflected over here, right? But then there's other incarnations that a teacher and a mentor and a guide will come through and say, I want to work with them. I want them to take this gift and take it to Earth. So he's already on board. Like he's
Okay,
like,
cool.
I want to
I
work
was
with
about
him.
to say, like, do I gotta buy him roses and chocolates? I
No,
mean,
no,
come on.
no, no, no. We just need to
Or
spend some.
some stardust. Yeah,
No, no,
that's
no. We
funny.
just need to spend some time and energy just putting in the efforts to amplify our channeling abilities and our astral projection and our meditation abilities and speaking with him and asking for his guidance and his tutelage. It's basically just taking on a mentor that's already
Okay.
pre-checked you. That's like, he'd be good for
No,
this.
that's actually quite cool, because I remember in my youth, I hung out with older friends, and they were already just hanging out with them being older. I already got a glimpse into what like early adulthood was going to be like. So,
Well, he's the
when I finally
oldest.
arrived at that.
He's like as old as you
All right
possibly.
then.
He's as
That's
old as you
cool.
can possibly get.
Yeah, yeah. I'll just be like, I'll just be like, hey, remember that time? Of course,
Yeah,
guy.
yeah.
Yeah,
You mean all of history? Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
What a
Um,
great punchline.
yeah, it might be really interesting too for you to, when you get a little bit deeper into channeling and being able to hear him more clearly, is to ask where he came from, because I don't know what that is. Like,
Oh,
how did you? Who were you? Like, where did you come from? When did you first come into existence? Like, how did you even get this job?
mhm.
Okay, so that would be really interesting to find out.
No, that's actually a good, meet a friend for the first time
Mhm,
type question. So, or when
absolutely.
after you build the relationship, like, so, like, hey, what's your backstory? It's
I
like,
would
well,
love
it had
to
this
hear
tragic.
if you want to keep me updated because I'm very curious because that is, I guess if I went in and asked if I could read his Akashic records, I could do it, but I'll let you do that.
No, that's fine. I appreciate the opportunity, and I will relay the information, and then I can be like, hey, like, you want to have a session with Sage, and then he'll be like, yeah, green light.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
then we could.
Yeah, yeah. I think your higher self was telling me no for me to go in and access it because that's okay. Sometimes our higher selves will bait us with things so that like they'll give us something really juicy and be like, if you want this, you got to come in here and get it. So your higher self is saying like, hey, if you want that information, you're gonna have to spend time and energy and then go in with him and figure it out.
Right on.
Does
That's
that
fair.
make sense? And so that's why
Yeah, it's
that's
just
why
like,
my higher self was like, mm-mm, You're not gonna have access to that. So, yeah.
Not yet. Not yet.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
but I'd be glad to look into that. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah. Just make it one of y'all's conversations when you get to those more open lines of communication. Okay. I am going to send you your oracle cards, and I'll send you your crystal grid, and then I'll send you the replay of this as well when it gets done processing, and keep me updated on the gifts. I'm very excited.
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
this is, like you said, not what you were expecting with regards to gifts and such.
I wasn't. I was like, I was transcribing. I was like, oh snap. Okay. Yeah, it was really
Yeah.
cool. Yeah.
But I appreciate it, and I just want to remark that I watched the session that you and Kim had, and that was really beautiful. I already put that in the comments too, but I got excited because like, oh, I'm gonna get like I'm gonna get like premium souped up sage,
Oh yeah.
exponential ascendancy by the time like I get my session with her.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, and like, hey, you know what? You're linked with this dude who's all this time itself. So
Yes.
congratulations, guy.
Yes.
So
yes.
yeah.
My gifts definitely for what I am able to perceive after doing that session with Kimberly and helping remind me of who I am, my perceptual awareness really opened up. And so what I'm perceiving with different people are these things that haven't necessarily been seen, which is very reminiscent of your gift as well, because you are opening up and activating things within people that have not been seen.
That's trippy.
Yeah. And so same thing that happened with me and Kimberly happening right now, and then you're going to do that with other people, so that's great.
Right. And that's why I need a broadcast or whatever, is like put myself out there and be like, hey, I need to connect with certain people.
Yeah, and when people watch your content, the persons who need that activation in their template, they're going to get it, but you could also more intentionally give sessions as well.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So that's an option of like, hey, I'll help you remember your star seed lineages and your star planets. Yeah.
From external galaxies.
Yes. From outside of our galaxy. Absolutely. Okay. Well, I will get everything to you, and I hope you have a very magical day.
Yeah. Thank you very much for your time.
Oh, you're welcome. Okay. I'll talk to you next time.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye.